Noxus. The first thing you notice when you arrive in Noxus Prime is that everyone is being assessed, not formally, just the constant ambient evaluation of a civilization built on the belief that strength is the only honest currency. You've been here 6 hours, and you've already been sized up by a street vendor, 2 soldiers on patrol, and a woman at a bathhouse who looked at your soft hands and made a conclusion she didn't bother hiding. You think, I'll keep my head down, I won't cause trouble. Then a reckoner shoves you off the street into the mud and waits. The correct response is to get up and fight. The response you give, stepping back, looking at the ground, apologizing, marks you instantly, not as a threat, as something that can be used. By nightfall, you're conscripted into labor for a chem merchant in the lower districts through a process so casual you didn't realize it was happening until it was done. On the third day, a supply cart tips and pins your leg against a wall. The supervisor notes the incident in a ledger and keeps moving. Your leg is broken in 2 places. The compound fracture pushes bone through skin. Medical resources in Noxus are allocated by contribution. You have not contributed enough. The infection sets in by the end of the week. By day 12, the leg is black to the knee. By day 15, there is no day 15. You die of a preventable injury because in Noxus, not fighting back is the most dangerous thing you can do. Demacia. Demacia looks like the answer to every problem Noxus created. White walls, clear laws, principles instead of violence. You're right about the laws. Demacia has a great many laws. You find this out on day 4, when a mage seeker patrol stops you in the street. You don't have magic. This isn't about you. But you were standing next to someone who does. A young man you met at the inn, kind and quiet, and whose hands when he spilled his drink did something to the liquid that the mage seeker sergeant noticed from across the room. They take him, you ask where? Obstructing a mage seeker operation. 3 weeks in a petricite cell. The stone absorbs sound the way it absorbs magic. Completely. No day, no night. Food through a slot. No one looks at you when they push it through. The illness starts as a cough. In a petricite cell with 16 other prisoners and no ventilation, it becomes something else within days. Your fever peaks at 42 degrees. In the grip of it, you see things. Your family, your home, a light that keeps moving away from you no matter how fast you walk toward it. The prison physician is informed of your condition on the 4th day of the fever. He reaches you on the 7th. By the 8th, you are not reachable by anyone. Your name is spelled wrong in the incident report. Nobody notices. It is the most beautiful place you have ever seen, and it is trying to tell you something, and you are not listening. The forests breathe. There is a rhythm to the air through the ancient cedar groves that feels deliberate. The land paying attention. You feel watched from the moment you enter the eastern highlands. You make camp in a clearing. In the morning, the clearing is not where it was. You walk for 3 hours in what you are certain is a straight line, and arrive back where you started. A monk finds you eventually. She speaks your language, barely, and tells you with the patience of someone explaining traffic to a person who just stepped in front of a cart, that the forest belongs to a spirit whose territory you entered without acknowledgement. She performs a ritual. It seems to work. She tells you to leave immediately, directly, without stopping. You stop to look at a waterfall. The spirit does not separate you from yourself gradually. It is not subtle about it. You are pulled in 4 directions simultaneously by something that is not using hands, and the sound your body makes is not something that can be described as anything a body should sound like, and the pieces of you that the forest receives are absorbed into the soil within hours, which the monk later describes as a mercy because it means there is something to give back to the earth. She says the appropriate words. The forest accepts the apology on your behalf. You are no longer in a position to appreciate the gesture. The Freljord. Cold is not the right word for the Freljord. Cold is what your house is when the heating breaks. The Freljord is a sustained philosophical argument that warmth was a mistake. You have the right gear. You have done the research. You have dried food and navigation tools and a shelter rated for extreme conditions. The storm that finds you on the 2nd night is not unusual by Freljordian standards. You shelter. Your shelter holds. You are proud of yourself for 6 hours. Then the temperature drops 20 degrees in 40 minutes. Your shelter, rated for extreme conditions, is rated for conditions that are now describing last Tuesday. The seams contract. The frame cracks. At 3 a.m., it fails with the sound of something giving up. Hypothermia does not feel like dying. It feels like the world getting quieter, more reasonable, the urgency of survival becoming gradually less convincing. Your fingers stop working at hour 2. At hour 3, you sit down because your legs are so heavy and everything is so peaceful, and you think, just a moment. What the Freljord does to a body over the next several hours is efficient. The search party that finds you 3 days later, when the storm clears, notes the position, seated, almost relaxed. One of them has seen this before. Most of them have. They say the words that Freljordians say for strangers who came to the ice without understanding what the ice is. You are already part of the Freljord now. It keeps everything. Zon. Nobody attacks you in Zon. That is not how Zon kills you. The gray shimmer fog drifts through certain corridors at certain hours, and you hold your breath the way you read to, tilt your face, keep moving. You avoid the shimmer blue puddles. You are careful. You are prepared. What you're not prepared for is the arithmetic. Every breath takes something invisible. 4 days in, you have a headache you can't get rid of. 6 days in, your chest makes a sound when you breathe that it wasn't making before. A wet sound, a low sound, a sound you tell yourself is nothing. 10 days in, a Zonite street doctor, operating out of a modified storage unit, looks at you with the expression of someone who has seen this many times and tells you your lungs are inflamed, filling with fluid, and you need to leave immediately. You don't leave. You're in the middle of something. The drowning feeling arrives on day 14. Not dramatic. Gradual, the way Zon does everything. Lying in your boarding room at night, unable to get a full breath no matter what position you try, your body working harder and harder for less and less air. By day 16, you cannot stand without your vision going dark at the edges. By day 17, you understand, with the particular clarity of someone who has run out of time to misunderstand things, what the sound in your chest has been telling you. You drown in Zon, not in water, in your own lungs, in a room that costs less per week than a coffee above the waterline. The chem barons responsible are reviewing a quarterly efficiency report right now. You are not in the quarterly report. Shurima. The Shuriman Desert has been existing on its own terms since before recorded history, and has no interest in adjusting those terms for you. Your compass is slightly off. Slightly off compounds over distance into something unrecoverable, and by the time the trade post doesn't appear where the map says it should, you are already past the point where turning back makes mathematical sense. You ration the water. You do everything correctly. On day 3, waterless, you shelter in a ruin to wait for night. The ruin has a void rift in its eastern wall. You didn't know this. Many ruins do. The rift has been inactive for years. Today, it is not inactive. The voidborn that comes through is smaller than you. Pale, fast, built from the geometric wrongness of something that should not be shaped the way it is shaped. You have a weapon. You use it. You land 2 shots before it reaches you, and both shots connect, and it does not slow down. What happens next takes approximately 4 minutes. The Voidborn does not consume you the way an animal consumes prey. It unmakes, specifically and precisely, the way acid moves through metal, starting at the point of contact and spreading. You are conscious for most of it. The desert is quiet. The ruin does not care. The sun continues burning with the indifference of something that forged itself before Runeterra had a name. The rift closes. The desert is unchanged. Whatever you were is no longer a category that applies. The Shadow Isles. You were warned. The navigational charts mark the Shadow Isles with the symbol that means do not approach in every maritime language used in Runeterra. The sailors who pass nearby do so in silence, collectively agreeing that some things become more present when you name them. You approach anyway. You're curious. The black mist finds you 2 miles from shore, earlier than expected, because it is harrowing season, and the harrowing does not announce itself. The cold is not temperature. You know, temperature. This is something that locates the part of you that is alive and presses against it from the outside, probing, specific, patient, in the way that things without a concept of time are patient. The creature that forms in the mist has been dead long enough that its anger has cooled into something quieter and more total. Not fury, which burns out, but purpose, which doesn't. It hits you once, and your ribs fold inward, like a closing hand, and you are on the deck of your boat, unable to move, and the mist is coming in over the rail. The second strike doesn't kill you. This is the part the warning symbols can't explain. Death on the Shadow Isles is not an ending. It is a conversion. The mist finds the thing in you that was alive and repurposes it. You understand what you are becoming in the last coherent seconds, before you stop being the person who understands anything. You join the mist. You are aware, inside inside it of how many others are here, how many people came before you and saw the symbol on the map and came anyway. It is a very large mist.